Hello, my name is Dale Erb, and I'm the project manager for the Huron Terrace Forcemain Replacement Project. It would be normal practice for the municipality of Kincardine to hold an information meeting that would be held in person to provide property owners and those interested in the project an opportunity to obtain a better understanding of what the project work will entail. Given the state of the COVID-19 pandemic, in-person gatherings are restricted, and in lieu of the normal information meeting, we've put together this virtual open house to provide those that are interested with some of the detail on the planned work taking place this year on Huron Terrace, Gordon Street, Queen Street, and Kincardine Ave. The presentation will cover the limits of the project, the scope of work to be done, timing of the work, access during construction, detours, and the overall impacts that will be experienced during construction. So with that said, and on behalf of the municipality of Kincardine, we welcome you to listen in on the following virtual open house. In 2018, the Kincardine Water and Wastewater Master Plan recommended that a review be completed of the Huron Terrace sewage pumping station and the Forcemain piping that conveys sewage to the treatment site on Bruce Ave. As part of that review, it was recommended that upgrades be completed to the pumping system, including replacement of the Forcemain to meet current and future growth-related sewage demands. BM Ross and Associates was retained to provide engineering services for the design and contract administration for the project. And in late 2019, the design for the Forcemain related works was completed, and in the summer of 2020, the tender for the Forcemain project was awarded to Burnham Excavating. Actual construction work began on the project in the summer of 2020. The project currently underway is primarily related to the Forcemain component of the overall project, with the work required at the Huron Terrace pump station being completed under a separate contract starting later in 2021. The project limits are highlighted on the mapping shown on the screen, and you will notice the two different colors used over the various sections of road corridor that either will or have already seen construction associated with the Forcemain project. The existing Forcemain piping currently runs from the pumping station near the Penetangor River, southerly down Huron Terrace of Penetangor to Bruce Ave. It then heads easterly along Bruce Ave to the Stewart Drain, where it turns south to the wastewater treatment plant. In 2021, the construction project will see the installation of the new Forcemain from the pumping station south along Huron Terrace to Gordon Street, where it will turn onto Gordon Street and continue to Queen. Once on Queen Street, the Forcemain will extend down to Kincardine Ave and then turn east to Princess Street, where it will connect to the already completed portion of the Forcemain on Princess Street and Bruce Ave. The portion of the route highlighted in gray on the mapping represents the limits of the work that was undertaken late last fall in 2020. The scope of work varies depending on the section of street associated with the Forcemain. For streets like Queen Street, the municipality is utilizing the installation of the Forcemain as an opportunity to upgrade and replace other buried assets, while on other streets like Huron Terrace and Gordon, the buried infrastructure that exists there now is in acceptable condition and is not being replaced. The next few slides provide further details on the extent of work being undertaken over the various street sections. Starting in April, work will begin on Huron Terrace and is planned to be wrapped up in June. The work on Huron Terrace is limited to the installation of the new Forcemain, which is to be located under the East Boulevard. Some disturbance to the East Boulevard area and perhaps some of the asphalt in the northbound lane from Gordon to Whalen Walk will occur, including sidewalk and driveway disturbance. As work progresses north of Whalen Walk, the Forcemain is being installed by directional drilling methods, and because of this, disturbance to the boulevard should be minimized through that area that is protected by the guide rail. Once past that area that has the guide rail, the Forcemain installation will return to a conventional open cut installation, and repairs to the boulevard area will be completed up to the parking lot for the Rotary Park. The Forcemain will then cut across the gravel parking area at the park and terminate at the pumping station closer to the top of the bank of the river. In 2022, following the completion of the pumping station work and after the heavy equipment is off-site, the parking lot for the Rotary Park will be paved with asphalt as part of the project. So around the same time as the Huron Terrace phase of the project, the Forcemain installation on Gordon Street will be completed. The work on Gordon will consist of full asphalt removal, installation of the Forcemain, and asphalt paving following completion of the piping installation. There are currently no plans to disturb the areas on the boulevard, and work should be isolated to the area between the curb lines of the road. Starting immediately, work will begin on Queen Street, and for the first few months will be focused on the block between Kincardine Ave and St. Albert. Overall, the work on Queen will take the majority of the year, as it involves full reconstruction of the roadway from Kincardine Ave to Wild Fang Lane. In general, the work is to progress from block to block. As the Kincardine Ave to St. Albert Street block is finished, work will continue northerly toward the second block up to Gordon later in the summer. The work to be completed is summarized on the screen and will basically include the following: installation of a new sanitary sewage force main under the west lane of Queen Street from Kincardine Ave to Gordon, the replacement of the existing water main, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer from Kincardine Ave to Wild Fang Lane. This work includes replacing all water and sanitary services from the main line to the property line. The removal and replacement of the curb and gutter along the entire length of the project. The roadway itself will be reinstated to a constant width of 9.5 meters to accommodate future cycling needs in the community. The installation of a new concrete sidewalk within the East Boulevard will occur from Kincardine Ave to the north side of the Highway Variety. The existing sidewalk will remain in place in general, with sections replaced as needed, for the installation of the new curb or replacement of the water and sanitary services as required. The reconfiguration of the Queen Street and Kincardine Ave intersection will be completed, including the removal of the existing traffic island. Asphalt parking areas within the road allowance will be restored with topsoil and sod. Those are those areas in between the sidewalk and the gutter that currently exist. The cutting, removal, and replacement of a portion of the driveways along the corridor will be undertaken where necessary to complete infrastructure replacements. Where driveways need to be cut to account for curb, sidewalk, and water and sanitary service replacement, driveway materials on the house side of the sidewalk will be matched to the existing where possible. On Queen Street, temporary potable water servicing is proposed to be installed as part of the overall water main project. A temporary water main will be laid on top of the ground at or near the property lines. Ramping will be provided by the contractor where water lines must cross streets or driveways. Individual water services will be installed along the ground to each curb stop, and after the temporary water system has passed the required testing and disinfection, a temporary connection will be made to the curb stop in front of your property. As noted, and where possible, the contractor will try to maintain the work area to one block at a time. Starting late in the summer, the work on Kincardine Ave will begin, which includes the installation of the new sewage force main, a new sanitary sewer, and a storm sewer, all under the north half of the roadway, followed by the replacement of the existing asphalt between the curb lines of the road. The existing sidewalk, boulevard areas, and curbing are not expected to be disturbed, apart from where necessary, as a result of the proposed improvements to the Queen Street and Kincardine Ave intersection. For Princess Street from Kincardine Ave to Bruce Ave, the water main was replaced and the new force main installed last fall. The sidewalk on the west side of the road was also extended from Bruce Ave up to the school as part of the work. In the spring, Burnham will return to the site and finish up the restoration of the boulevards with topsoil and sod placement. For Bruce Ave, and similar to Princess Street, the work was largely completed in 2020. And all that is left is final boulevard restoration that will take place when things dry up later in the spring. The work included the upgrade of the roadway from a rural cross-section to an urban cross-section, including a new storm sewer, the new force main, curb and gutter, sidewalk on the south side of the road, and the installation of a new culvert over the Stewart Drain, which allowed for improvements to the road profile and the elimination of the sharp rise over the culvert that existed prior to the project. The last component of the final road restoration of the impacted streets, including Bruce, Princes, Kincardine, Queen, and Gordon, is the placement of the top coat asphalt. It is normal procedure to allow the rebuilt road to sit over a winter before the final lift of asphalt is placed, as this allows minor settlements to be addressed in the following year prior to placing the final course of asphalt. On Bruce and Princess, the top lift of asphalt will be laid in 2021, while the streets being rebuilt this year will see their final lift of asphalt in 2022. As noted, improvements are planned at the Queen Street and Kincardine Ave intersection. These improvements include the removal of the traffic island at the northeast corner and better defined crosswalk and turning lanes. Tactile plates will be added to the sidewalk crossing locations at all four corners to meet provincial accessibility guidelines. In addition to painted directional arrows, new colorized advanced school crossing paint will be added on the new asphalt to provide additional notice to motorists that they are approaching school crossing. During construction, because of the need for various road closures to through traffic, detour roads have been established to help vehicles and pedestrians traverse around the site. On Huron Terrace, there may be times where traffic is reduced to one lane, but for the most part, the traffic impacts will be minimal. Access to Station Beach Road will not be impacted by this project. Gordon Street will be restricted to local traffic only. On Queen Street, sections of the street will be closed for extended periods of time to through traffic. Because of this, we're providing more detail in the following next two slides that's specific to Queen Street to help describe what the detour route will be through there. Kincardine Ave will be reduced to one lane with local traffic when needed, but will remain open for school traffic. It is important to note that the majority of the proposed Kincardine and Queen Street intersection work is to be completed during the summer months when school is out. Due to the impactful nature of the proposed work on Queen Street, the road will be limited to local traffic only, with intermittent closures as required from time to time to complete the infrastructure upgrades. As noted, Burnham, the contractor, plans to complete the work on a block-by-block basis, with the initial focus on the stretch between Kincardine Ave and St. Albert. This will be advantageous to the property owners, as disturbance fronting each property will be reduced to smaller amounts of time than what it will take to complete the entire project. Where possible, driveway access will be maintained. However, there will be times when properties do not have access to the driveway. The contractor will do their best to notify affected property owners when access to a driveway may be difficult, so other arrangements can be made. Detour signage will be provided to assist in directing traffic as shown above. The above provides a simplified version of where Queen Street will be closed to through traffic, which will include road closed signs, sidewalk access signs, and business access signs. Although Burnham will maintain access to the existing sidewalks, there will be times where it may be restricted because of various construction activities. Because of this, it is recommended that when possible, an alternative walking route be taken rather than the Queen Street corridor. The importance of maintaining access to commercial facilities is recognized, and like the residential driveways, Burnham will maintain access to these establishments throughout construction. Business open signage will be placed to help clarify to patrons that properties are open. Emergency services have been made aware of the works, and the contractor and the municipality will notify them when specific locations are under construction. A pre-construction survey is underway to document pre-existing building conditions such as cracks, broken concrete, settlements, and other common issues that private buildings often experience as they age from the time they are constructed. These surveys are completed to help support future claims and are to the benefit of all parties involved. The inspections are being completed by OZA, spelled O-Z-A, and notification to each property will be delivered by their staff if they have not already done so. The pre-construction survey is to include the interior buildings where access is granted by the owner or tenant. Should access not be provided, it will be difficult to evaluate whether construction had any kind of impact to claims that may arise after construction is done. The information will only be used should there be concerns raised following completion. The information is not accessed if there are no claims brought forward. We often receive common questions related to what will or will not be impacted as a result of construction. The next few slides address many of those common questions, and I will list them off. Blue box and garbage collection will not be impacted, but we do ask that residents mark their name and address on their bins in the event that they are misplaced and need to be returned to their home. Emergency services, like I said, have been made aware of the project and the proposed detour routes that go along with it. The local school and the bus companies associated with the school have been made aware of the project and have adjusted their routes accordingly. The municipality will be active with their social media campaign and will provide updates as quickly as possible should plans evolve through construction. Access to the driveways, like I said, will be maintained, but there may be times during construction when it is unavoidable that they are blocked. Should it be necessary to restrict access to private driveways, or businesses for that matter, notification will be provided on site as much as possible to provide some notice for alternative parking arrangements. Sidewalks on Queen Street will be open for the most part, but it is generally encouraged that pedestrians and residents use an alternative route, as from time to time sections will need to be closed without notice, and it may be easier for all just to take a new route for the duration of the project. During construction, there will be no on-street parking on Huron Terrace, Gordon Street, Queen Street, and Kincardine Ave within the project limits. Parking on Kincardine Ave west of Queen will continue to be permitted. Through construction, water and sanitary services may continue to be used as normal. If for some reason these services will need to be temporarily restricted for a short period because of unplanned issues that may arise, all impacted property owners will be notified directly by field staff. For any planned disruptions, at least 24 hours of notice will be provided to impacted property owners. There are no planned hydro or telecommunication disruptions. Access to businesses will be maintained as much as possible. Business directory signs are to be installed at the ends of the block streets to direct shoppers to the stores. To keep the signs less cluttered, the wording will be general, noting that access to all businesses and establishments is available. Due to the nature of the Queen Street work, we're providing the following additional information specific to that area. Prior to construction, property owners are advised to remove any planting beds, flowers, shrubs, and hedges, any underground sprinkler systems, any heated driveway systems, and any fencing from within the road allowance and relocate onto their private property. On Queen Street, temporary potable water servicing is proposed to be installed. A temporary water main will be laid on top of the ground across the front of most properties. Ramping will be provided by the contractor where water lines must cross streets or driveways, and individual water services will be installed along the ground to each property. After the temporary water system has passed the required testing and disinfection, a temporary connection will be made at the curb stop in front of your property. A short disruption in service will be required for this switchover at that time. For restoration of the boulevard, we note the following. Existing grass boulevards will be restored with topsoil and sod. On Queen Street, where the existing sidewalk and driveways are disturbed, the material on the house side of the sidewalk will be matched to the existing where possible. On Queen Street, existing asphalt parking areas that may currently exist between the sidewalk and the roadway within the road allowance will be restored with topsoil and sod. So this slide concludes the presentation for the 2021 work of the Huron Terrace Forcemain project. For the most up-to-date information, you can tune into the municipal social media pages for current information. The main contacts for the project are listed on the screen, including myself, Dale Erb, Adam Weiser from the municipality of Kincardine, and Derek Baines from Burnham Excavating. Our contact information is available on the notices which were distributed to each residence prior to commencement of construction. I hope that you found this presentation helpful, and we want to thank you for sitting down and listening in. We know it's been a busy time in Kincardine as it relates to construction over the last several years, and we want to thank you for your patience and cooperations during those times and as we work through the project described herein. Thank you.